Okay, so we have a fraction here, or a division, and we also have a radical in there. One thing, let's take a look at the radical first. We recognize that it's an odd root there, the fifth root, and therefore there's no restrictions there based on the contents of that radical having to be equal and greater than 0. Because it is an odd number, a 5, that restriction, there's no impact there. So the other restriction we need to think about is we can't be dividing by a 0. And so basically the square root of 0 is 0. So the contents of that radical, if they were to become 0, we would have a problem. So that's our restriction, is that nothing to do with the radical, but strictly to do with we don't want to be dividing by a 0. So we would simply say that the contents of that radical cannot be 0. They can be a negative, fine. They can be a positive, fine. That does not impact the fifth root. But the 0, and the 0 wouldn't impact the fifth root either, but it would impact the division by 0, which is our restriction. Okay, so now at this point, let's just kind of work through this. Plus 36 plus 36, and we're left with 4a squared is not equal to 36. And divide by 4, and we're left with a squared cannot equal 9. And then we square root both sides in order to get that sorted out. And we would have a cannot equal to, and remember, whenever we square root when we're solving, we have to acknowledge that it could be a positive or it could be a negative of the square root of 9. Or could be positive or negative 3. And just to review why, again, we do that positive or negative, because it is important, is that if we look back in this step here, we're basically saying that whatever this thing is, squared can't equal 9. Well, positive 3 squared does equal to 9, so it can't be positive 3. But negative 3 squared is also 9. So it can't be negative 3 either. So recognizing this cannot be positive or negative 3 when we went and square rooted, perfectly legit and makes total sense. There's our